products. During the pandemic, the economic crisis, it has become very clear how important is sustainable agricultural development. In the 2021, Italy gonna chair the G20 events. In particular, they'll host the conference on climate changes. And Italy is ready to contribute to overcoming the consequences of the pandemic, improving the healthcare system and environmental protection. During the G7, G20 events, Italy gonna endeavor to put all possible efforts for improvement, healthcare, agriculture, and food product industry, and support to develop the best technologies, state-of-the-art technologies. In this case, the first important step would be the transition to well-balanced diet, the contribution to supply of healthy products to the market, developing scientific aspects that would contribute to sustainability of the agricultural sector. In this case, the innovative system for producing organic products is the major pathway to support the production of healthy products and environmental protection. Healthy products with good content of useful, valuable, nutritive elements is an important task for agriculture. The collaboration between Italy and Russia in these fields is being successfully developed. And the demand for Italian products is determined by raising awareness of their high qualities and importance for humans. That would be an important contribution to mankind, and a lot of scientific works have already been done in this area. Italy will continue promoting collaboration with Russian partners and contributing in developing of agriculture thanks to state-of-the-art technologies, as well as the cutting-edge new materials. Italy has enjoyed the reputation of a very reliable partner in this field and been present in the Russian market for already dozens of years. And we now been developing special facilities for those products. Several Italian companies are heavily contributing to developing this sector in Russia, particularly job creation. The main guidelines here for the partners, both Russians and Italians, are what is most attractive is the innovative technologies, new production methods for producing healthy organic products. And Italy puts efforts to get to the agriculture 4.0 level, which means engaging state-of-the-art technologies and organic production. It is also important to develop scientific collaboration and exchange our achievements. And we believe that our joint project would be a good contribution and good support in this path. I wish everybody productive work and every success in all corners of your efforts. Thank you so much. And now please put on the video of the ICI, Italian Trade Agency Director, the Department for Development and Trade Exchange, the coordinator of ICI operation in Russia, Armenia, and Belarus, Silvana Francesca. Dear participants of ProAgroTalk Forum, I'm very happy to greet you at this event, and I'm confident that today's forum will highly contribute to further cooperation in this field between Russia and Italy and advance agricultural production, particularly in terms of organic products, which is becoming increasingly more popular on the market. Italy is one of the best producers of organic products, and its share on the global market is getting up to 9.5%, while its presence in the retail trade with organic products has reached nearly 400 billion euros in money terms. This department for organic product sales is heavily present both in Europe, and developing this in Russia would be extremely interesting. It is particularly interesting to further advance our cooperation with Russian producers. So I'd like to pass my sincere thank you so much for your warm words and for the greetings to our dear Italian partners. And now I'd like to proceed to the first session of our forum, Agriculture 2.0, Digitalization of Agribusiness. And I'd like to give the floor for opening the first session of our business program at ProAgroTalk to the expert in digital banking, digital marketing, digital trade, the specialist on promoting and modernizing international companies in various sectors of the economy, one of the 50 most influential persons in digital financial services in Europe, according to Retail Banking International, Alessandra Colafranceschi. And I'd like to state that Alexander is well aware, he knows very well the Russian agribusiness because he personally has met many our farmers, many representatives of various corners of agricultural production from a lot of parts of the Russian Federation. He traveled a lot across our villages, and he himself experienced both the Russian agriculture and Russian flavor, national flavor, and he shaped his own professional opinion how digital technologies can be implemented, and he is a renowned specialist in this field, so he knows, he has an idea how to do it in Russian realities. I believe Alessandro will go into more details himself, so it's my great pleasure to give the microphone to Alessandra Colafranceschi.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? I would like to extend my gratitude to our moderator, Pavel Skurihin, and I'm so much interested in participating in this conference. For me, it's a great honor. When I was asked to moderate this session about digitization of agriculture, when I was asked to present and be a moderator for this session on digitization, some images, some ideas came into my mind, which I saw last year, and it would be pleasant to share these ideas with you, as they will help us understand the necessity of promoting agricultural sector to new horizons. Here I have a couple of slides, and this is one of them. So I got the information a year ago. My American friend And I found it an interesting trend curve, though it is frightening, as it demonstrates how the population of our planet is booming in the nearest 8 years. It would grow up by 30%. So 30% of hungry people will be more, and the demand for food would be greater. In the beginning of the coronavirus pandemics, which started a year ago, I read a couple of articles in American newspapers and British newspapers, and actually the picture is that we are deep in the crisis related to safety and security, food production security in Indonesia, which is now fighting for the production security. This issue that is related most part of our planet and most of the countries, even if notwithstanding such issues focused in some regions, the consequences can be felt everywhere. Social, political, in social and political sphere. These are the data of 2019. 55 countries were in a serious crisis related to food supplies. Over the past 3 years, part of my time I spent at the production sites, and we were hearing the problems of farmers, and I have been seeing producers' problems, such as owner of a farm, aged man, farm owner, and he comes across the issue of using innovative technologies, drones flying over his farm and other digital technologies, and he is confused. He can't. He is unable to understand where these innovations are bringing him, and the good news that there is a new generation of farmers, children of such a father, who are taking the reins, and the young people have other opinion about digital technologies, absolutely different, and it gives interest and worries, and he wants to try it, and how to use the technologies for improving their work in agriculture. Another gripping trend, the resources Citibank, and it's the ultimate industry that went into digitization. And here we face great pool of opportunities, as agriculture is ripe for tremendous changes, and it would be a difficult and a long way. And me personally, started implement banking systems in Italy, in Europe in year 2000. It was so complicated, and in this sector, the same way, I think we will need to find engaging solutions which would be of great use for farmers to make such a leap leap in mastering digital technologies. And one other side which grabs our attention in this issue is a couple of years ago, I got the latest data. The investment in agri-tech technologies related to agriculture have grown by 7%. That's an engaging data as an investor of in venture capital in startup. Have shrunk by 16%, while investment into tech sector, according to the available data, these investments in 2020 dropped. And investment in agri-tech are growing, and in particular, the booming sector is software. Online management of agricultural production, everything related to personal plots owners, and most of the investment is distributed in these digital technologies, organic production, and a new system of plant farming. These are the sectors where last year enjoyed the biggest growth of investment. And 2020 investment has reached about $5 billion, and investors show great interest in investing in that sector, as they see great opportunities over the following years. Here, I would like to thank Mr. Skurihin, my colleague, for the opportunity to share my ideas here. And the floor is given to Pavel Skurihin.
Thank you so much, Alexander. Thank you for agreeing to join us and moderate our session. And now let me try my report. I promise I'm not going to abuse time. But let me start with a statement of one of the very famous chess players and theoreticians of chess playing, Zygmunt Taras, who at some point wrote down that every position should be considered as a task where you have to find the right step which stems from this position, and practically always that would be the only possible step. It is very close to what Signor Marcaricelli said at the end of his speech when he reiterated that we need to shape our understanding of the future based on today's situation. I fully agree with you. And since Mr. Taras considered that that is most probably the only possible step, we do believe that in the current situation, such a step can be and must be transition to agriculture 4.0. Russian agriculture, as the global agriculture, really stayed on the threshold of this transition. And as Alexander mentioned, the agricultural producers have already shifted to a more powerful, wide-cut, multifunctional equipment with, as Viktor Simonov said, they have both a GPS navigator. You can hardly surprise somebody in plant growing and animal breeding that massively apply achievements of selection and genetic engineering and the input decreased. Nearly 1 billion people now today are suffering from hunger. And this adverse statistics was only aggravated with the pandemics. Also, population growing is already, you can see on this slide. And also, we have on the one hand potential for increasing arable lands, as Professor Valentini mentioned. But on the other hand, there are some contrary, the opposite processes like a growing population. So in this case, in terms of this controversy, what are the tasks that we have to tackle? The tasks facing the World Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and farmers. First of all, we have to eradicate hunger. I just called about it. We have to ensure the quality of food and its safety. And what are the tasks for the farmers in this context? They need to optimize agricultural production to make it more cost effective. That can be achieved through digitalization. And this is truly a transition that we observe in other sectors of the economy in our life. So for the past 10 years, we practically forgot, we abandoned writing letters, handwriting. We just use emails. The same happened in banking, in mass media. But agriculture, as Alessandra showed on the graphs, is really at the very beginning of this trajectory. This is just the start of this transition, and everything new ever started is a little bit painful. Another challenge is producing environmentally healthy and safe, clean products, because farmers heavily use agrochemicals. But now we need to move further, and we now need to shift to environmentally friendly products. According to McKinsey & Company report, with a transition to a new technological paradigm, agriculture can increase global GDP by $500 billion by 2030, which would enhance its productivity by nearly 10%. It's a huge leap, which can be achieved through transition to agriculture 4.0. And we do understand that today we will use these simple elements of agriculture 4.0 in the fields. Like we have weather stations, we have various electronic scales, temperature sensors, other sensors, different devices to register the work time. And I'd like to emphasize, I believe Alessandra would further confirm it, that very often the readings from all those elements of agriculture 4.0, very often farmers very studiously and zealously report, like put it on record, all this data, put them in some books on the notebooks, and then other specialists use calculators or Excel tables. So what happened? We do collect the data, but then we still process the data in the old way, which doesn't help to speed up their processing. Implementing the Agriculture 4.0 is designed to unite all those devices in the same system with the sense of data processes and flexible external and internal interface in order to transfer production to a brand new level of productivity. And according to an international group led by the National Union of Grain Producers, that's an international expert group, and they do believe that this task can take place through transition to efficient digital agriculture. In Russian, this is called, we decided to call it comprehensive offer to support transition to this efficient digital agriculture. We do understand deeply, you know already that our grain union has operated for more than 10 years, and we have very good practitioners with us. And their track record is not just these 10 years, much, much longer. They have really vast experience. So we do understand the needs of agricultural producers. We are aware of regional specifics. We are prepared to learn from the international experience and adapt it. This is the reason, for example, why we have this AgroTalk event. And we wanted to create the bank of knowledge, the bank of technologies to implement this in our comprehensive offer. So what are the objectives for the farmers? First, reduce the cost, enhance the efficiency throughout the entire production process. And it is essential to make sure that every stage of agricultural production is transparent and traceable. Traceability, that's the word in English. And organic production basically sets the same requirements for us. So what exactly is the comprehensive offer? This is the concept of the project. Achieving synergy and comprehensive development of efficient digital agricultural production by combining high technology international competencies and adapting it in agriculture and other sectors of the economy. The project partners has already become, and other partners will join. It is not a limited project, but at the moment, the following companies have become our partners. Perfectum Capital Financial Company is one of the organizers. It is a general sponsor of our today's event. We already praised them for this. Factor Beer, it's a joint Italian-Russian venture. An association, Fetter Bio, that provides services for consulting and certification of organic products. Gamma Robotics offers services associated with UAV and nanosatellites. Tilo, Alessandra going to talk in more details about Tilo. This is a digital platform for collecting, storing, and processing data and task control. Sana International Exhibition, which we believe can become a window or a door for Russian agricultural producers, helping them to enter international markets of high margin products, not just only mass products. Where we are very successful at the moment, we are number one in wheat export, for example. But right now, the task is, as already mentioned, to make it cost effective, to enhance efficiency of agricultural production. Also, the use of e-commerce means to this end, we suggest to use marketplace, AgroMarket. This is going to be the marketplace that we suggest. And Dr. Pharma is our partner in production means. Dr. Pharma produces organic mineral fertilizers, inorganic fertilizers, and the modern seed material. And of course, the National Union of Grain Producers offers its full support to the project. Who can become the customers, the target audience of this project? In our opinion, it can be, first of all, government agents. Today, again, it was already mentioned that at all levels of the Russian authorities and international, the authorities from other countries, for example, the embassy of Italy to the Russian Federation, it was reiterated again and again that the government is interested in sustainable supply and production of agri-products. They wanted it to be efficient and transparent. Alessandro already mentioned that investments in the industry, in agritech, are increasing, and this is the sector that is transforming the agriculture. But financial institutions are also interested in transparency. They wanted to know how these funds are used. Insurance companies, of course, with the more and more turbulent climate, the role of insurance companies is increasing because agricultural production in quite a number of regions is increasingly more and more risky. And it's not only Russia that is in the belt of risky agriculture. A number of other companies that used to be in an area with pretty stable climate now falls in this category. Who can be the partners? We understand that the farmer audience are exactly the targets. for whom the comprehensive offer is prepared. So who can be partners in implementing the offer? First of all, businessmen. And the first pilot projects are already in place, for example, in the Omsk region and in some other areas, where businessmen from agriculture or other sectors, they say that we are interested in investing because we understand that this is where the future lies. They also can be trader because they are the ordering parties. They basically take agricultural products and they bring it to the consumers, both in the domestic and international markets. And of course, the retail chains who understand that the more close, direct ties with the agriculture would enable them to optimize the value chain. What are the advantages of our project? What do we see in the comprehensive offer? First of all, it is one window service. Producers that decide to embark on this transformation path or the new technological paradigm, they basically get everything from kind of one hand, one window, and it will be very coordinated. The processes will be very transparent, high level control, technological level, and of course the advantages also would be developing a new image of a farmer. And we believe it is important, taking into account that there is a generation change in agriculture. We need to make this model very attractive for the youth, so that highly qualified young specialists who are able to cope well with these new technological devices, we want them to stay in agriculture. So it is important to create a new image of a farmer, seeing that that's a human being, that's a new type of the economy which highly contributes to food safety. And it's not just conservative methods. It is involvement in scientific and technical progress, and it is involvement in responding to the challenges that the mankind is facing. We have to increase the prestige of the agriculture to make it more attractive for highly qualified specialists. Plus, we do understand that agriculture, first of all, means direct interaction between the humans and the ecosystem of our planet. So this is how we interact with our motherland, the Earth planet. And if it's more environmentally friendly, it would affect not only the quality of life of our generation, but also the future generation. It would mean improving the quality of life of millions, because we already mentioned that there is a huge share of people who are unable to get healthy products. Another important thing is maintaining and reinforcing family traditions. Because very often, as Alessandra showed to you, fathers or the aging generation, they are not that prepared to master the new technology. So the baton can be given to a new generation who would be ready to go in. In Russia today, very solid legislative framework is being built to enable this project. As mentioned at the plenary session by the Deputy Minister of the Agriculture of the Russian Federation, we now have a new federal law passed on 1st January 2020 on organic product and amendments to particular legislative acts of the Russian Federation. So now organic products can be produced on these approved conditions. I also wanted to mention that the Ministry of Agriculture is now giving robust support to the transition towards a new technological paradigm, because we do understand that in order to do it, we need to be based on a particular financial and economic base. The ministerial order number 799 of 22nd of December last year changed the list of soft loans. Now, such soft loans can be given to agriculture producers for informatization, digitalization, pay attention of agriculture, processing of agriculture and servicing machinery and equipment in the field of informatization and digitalization. In my opinion, it's a revolution really in this field. We can only thank the ministry for such an approach. So again, what is the basis for such acts that restore changes in the law and the departmental order? First of all, this is the position of our leadership. This is a very new quotation from our President Vladimir Putin, who made a statement at the joint session of the State Council and the Council on Strategic Development and National Projects. Mr. Putin said that the attention has been reinforced to such sectors as the advanced development of the infrastructure, environmental well-being, digital transformation of all spheres of our life. And we do believe that this approach would determine the attitude of the authorities at all levels to the processes that we're discussing now at our forum, the transition to the new technological paradigm. What is the principle under which we implement the comprehensive offer? First of all, this is the agile principle. It means evolutionary development by ongoing improvement and reviewing the priorities at the end of each project iteration and timely implementation of the new technological solution. It means that at every stage, we have to understand that life is going on and there is absolutely rapid development now. So we basically implement new approaches with the prior evaluation of the consequences of the previous stages. This is our principle. And finally, I'd like to reiterate that effective digital agriculture and the complex offer are designed to work together with farmers and for the farmers. This is our main goal. Dear colleagues, thank you so much for your attention. From my side, I'd like now to give the microphone to Alexander, and his report would focus on implementing digital agro program, TILO, because Alexander is the head and one of the inspirators of the TILO app project. Alexander, please take the stage.
Thank you very much for the interest and for the opportunity to speak about TILO today in the framework of this forum. I would like to start that the past 3 years I spent meeting farmers, agricultural professionals in the field. And I was asking what challenges they face, what difficulties they face, and what opportunities they can see. Of course, professional and technological background was of importance, as well as the experience with technological services, with internet banking and other media. And I was wondering how digital technologies could help farmers. I was born and grew up in Rome, and most of people around me also grew up in cities, and I thought that apples get ripe, grow on supermarket shelves, and many people who grew up in cities, they don't know how much work is invested in growing apples or tomatoes. And in TILO, we set an objective to create a digital platform that would help farmers to produce food and sell it to the population, giving helping hand as they need help in this way to new technologies and innovations. And it's obvious that farmers face many values, and all the expenditures, productive expenditures are constantly growing, while sale markets are very volatile. And as it was mentioned by Professor Valentini, who mentioned climatic changes, we saw what happened in North America to the as well as producers in Africa. In Cape Town. Cape Town was left without water, the first city which faced the problem of a dry water supply system. The situation has improved, but the demand for water has been growing all over the world, and it's a common problem with soft fresh water. And farmers face great challenges resulting in reduction of a number of farming companies in many regions of the world. Many of them define their work as crisis management, as they cannot envisage and forecast everything, and they just give the response to a great number of problems that they have to resolve. And that gives a great challenge with great opportunities. When we focused on creating this digital platform, as farmers are looking a way out for a way out, a solution. In South Africa, farmers are saying that you get what you measure, because the picture I made in South Africa is 98 or 99% is typical to the companies I visited. Heaps of paper, huge cases containing all the information related to farming, and farmers saying that is everything for us, a treasure trove for us. And we need a fast access to instant access to this data, and that is what gives the objective for TILO. And there's a great room of improvement for farmers' efficiency. This data processing, record keeping, everything is done on a prehistoric level. Let me use the expression. Everything is on paper, and here it doesn't contribute to any efficient work, and it doesn't help get the best result. And nowadays generation, as the previous one, so the old generation has grown up using this system, and they don't see the all the constraints, and they don't see all the opportunities provided by the digital technologies, while the young generation is used to using apps for messaging, like WhatsApp, in order to share information, and that's a great constraint because information is somehow dispersed in its flow. And here you can see, just a second, of course, all this stuff. That is the way that many of the data is filed nowadays in South Africa, Italy, Russia, Indonesia, even in North America. And I thought that they were more advanced, but they have the same issue. This is the way farmers collect and manage the information, the data. Of course, that sets a huge problem, and it's also a huge opportunity for the business, as when we manage to digitize all the data, we can provide the farmers with a new platform for collecting, record keeping, and data management. What they helping them to convert data into what is the product which gives value. And of course, the investment and a great number of companies offer tracking system, farm management technologies based on artificial intelligence, specific parameter management. But there is a big but, which I see here. These technologies, which of course are astounding and of high quality, are too complicated. First of all, the first one was the first technology was carried out by experts, and they are far from farmers, as farmers are users of they are basic users, not advanced ones, and we go on seeing that they are unable to understand fully what they can do with such advanced technologies, and they see only difficulties in using them and their high cost of use. Of course, that's a challenge for agroindustrial. And TILA is based on this offer, which is based on two foundations. The first one is that all the data can fully change the paradigm to be a game changer. And the second is the principle is the simplicity of use is the key to success in this sphere. And we've been working a lot on developing ultra simplified system for making this the entry into this way easier. Bigger data processing. Here you can see an example of apple producer using TILO. TILO shows apple harvesting, numbers of baskets harvested per day. How much time would a farmer need? What team is required? What team has collected the most, and which team has the worst result? And the analysis over the several days shows the data which has been processed over several days, and when you start using a digital system, the data is being processed online in real time, and a farmer And a farmer said it's fantastic when he got that information, as he was thousands kilometers away from his farm, and he could see what is going on at the farm, who's working, and what results his employees are rendering. The simple example, with the help of Tilo, we can tag fuel consumption, use on all types of the equipment, and you can track fuel in stock, in fuel tanks, and all the information will give you the opportunity to send a signal to farmers that within 3 days with such consumption, the farmer will run out of the fuel. And you can order fuel delivery from your supplier, or you can get a list of all fuel suppliers in the region. So this is a simple example of how you can use such simply data, and it is done through the simplest simplest app on your smartphone. And I would repeat that the simplicity of use or user friendliness is the first and the best key to success. So it's Tila is based on a platform, not as a software, as it is used as a connection tool for people in the system. With the help of Tilo, I can connect to my employees, to advisors. That is the essence of the platform. People can be connected within one chain, and the information, the data is exchanged. That is the peculiarity. And in an easy and simple way, I can invite people working into the digital space, precise objective for data collection are set for them. And as soon as they collect these data, they are distributed and shared with everybody on the team. And as soon as the data is collected, a number of other data examples are generated. Here you can see a simple example of so clocking in registration. Up to 10,000 USD are spent on the software, which enables them to clock in their employees. So the number of employees clocking in at the company, and such software can be quite expensive, and and they couldn't make use of that due to certain reasons. And it's a simple example how to track clocking in, and a number of workers is limited, and all the information that is transferred to the administrative office is processed there, and the owner of the company can see who clocked in, who didn't clock in. It's just of one of the examples. And the solution that we have developed can digitalize all the information that is already available in the company. Everything on paper can be digitalized with the help of a simple mobile app. And when such data is uploaded into the app, graphs are created, data is digitalized, and we could manage such data. They are localized, and there's a digital map and the system of messaging. They are also consolidated to have them in one place, and all the data collected through Tilo can be downloaded in Excel form to your computer or be left in the cloud. That is a real peak. My Clock, the company I've been working with Tilo, the company sending the data, and I get the data in my watch, and I can understand what is going on in the company, not being present, and real-time update of data is available. This is a simple example how Tilo can help you visualize all the important data for a farmer. And as well as the information about all the employees. And on the left, you can see on what we have been focused on. For me, it is of great importance to simplify data input, which is now on paper, as most of the data in farming is still on paper. This is our priority. This enables us to digitize all the information which they have on paper. And here we can see great success of dealing with data, which would render success. So we have set an objective on integration with third-party systems, UAVs, satellites, third-party data, meteorological stations, data, sensors, an opportunity to integrate variable technologies and offer the producer the unified app, which would individualize the information and the data he requires. And to finish my presentation, I would say Tilo is a digital platform. Here we see all the opportunities it gives to a farmer, a number of services from third parties, companies offered who offer financial services and as well as the ones provided by insurance companies, risk management. Risk manager has limited abilities to assess the abilities of agricultural company. And a risk manager or credit manager can evaluate the risk on the credit in real time. This is one of the examples. Another example I would give is that we have a number of companies and there's a great requirements set for clients' data, and now we have TILO in Russia, Southern Africa, Indonesia, Italy. We work for the markets of Russia and South Africa, and recently we have entered the Indonesian market, and we have ambitious plans, and you can see how TIL is functioning online. So I'm finishing, and I'm ready to answer any questions you have, which you can send to my email, and I will be happy to explain how our platform functions. Alexander is a moderator, and to give him a rest, I would like to show a small video. If organizers help me to start this video, I would give Alessandro an opportunity to have a rest. A simple tool for managing your farm. It enables you to be always in touch with your team. It makes all the processes transparent. It helps to store and process data, and it will help you to prioritize and take decisions for any kind of business. Manage your tasks. Download TILO. It's available in App Store and Google Play. Alessandro, you're welcome. Thank you very much. So we are talking about cutting-edge technologies in agriculture. So I'm giving the floor to Mr. Igor Tretьяков, who is General Director of Gamma Robotics. He is going to speak about drone aircrafts. So you're welcome. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, dear colleagues and friends. My name is Igor Tretьяков, and I am General Director for Gamma Robotics, the services of UAVs or drones for agriculture. I would like to introduce to your attention. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for taking part in such a meaningful event. Let's start. Many of you have probably heard about UAVs and encountered in your professional activity and in everyday life. UAVs are nothing to surprise you. They are quite actively entering all the spheres of our life. So 5 to 7 years ago, their application in the civil sector, it was a fantastic, but now there are a great number of modifications and varieties which find their application in various spheres. When we speak about services rendered to various sectors of economics, UAVs with specialized software for data processing are able to provide a great number of services. Where such UAV technologies can be used, what objectives they follow. I would give you some of the tasks, that is stock taking of farmland and related issues related to that, creating digital maps, slope maps, resulting in planning necessary measures to be taken, NDVI control, agro insurance, and using plant protection agents, as well as delivery of things. I would tackle in detail. So the data of aerial imaging helps to do online monitoring. And everybody understands that what difficulties it brings if you don't control. So the overuse or underuse of fertilizers and seeds, bad planning of a taxable base, as well as inability to identify suppressed vegetation or the growing of gully network. So digital maps of fields compared to paper maps is of great advantage. Depending on the software you use, you can upload the information you need, such as plan history, plan crop rotation, and control measures resulting from aerial imagery. You can form 3D visualization of relief or making digital models, and you can transform height map into models. You can calculate and visualize runoff directions to form the profile of the land plot taken. It enables farmers forecast the directions of runoffs and create the technologies and plan soil protection measures such as soil redistribution. So the materials, orthophoto plans, maps, DMMs, and others can be used for vertical planning and so modeling hydrological maps and for planning rice checks. Simply speaking, such materials can be used for land improvement measures and preparing projects for land improvement. So the geodetical precision is up to 10 centimeters in plan and 15 centimeters in height enable you to get a good result. So UAVs can be used to do online monitoring, real-time monitoring, video and photo monitoring, or get data for further processing. This opportunity enables you to control agrotechnical measures are taken, as well as supervise the quality of the work carried out. Monitoring harvesting can be done with the help of the data received, and forecast the yield and assess the yield or monitor field work and land cultivation. Also, I would like to emphasize multispectral imagery taken with the help of software, Panorama and other software that enables us to visualize data from UAVs and make a vegetation or NDVI map. Based on the data received, identify and visualize the suppressed vegetation so that the result would be a good fertilization, and the data can be exported in shapefile or CSV format. Apart from that, aerial survey can be used for monitoring insured assets, giving you visualization combination of them, comparing the autumn plant crops in autumn and in spring would be difficult to control. In spring, the materials, the imagery you get would stand you in good stead when coming to conflict situation, and they would enable you to evaluate effectively the yield and loss. I would also like to give several examples on use of drones for agriculture. The first is using UAVs for plant protection or stimulating agents or liquid fertilizers on fields. First of all, it is in great demand in those areas where traditional methods are hard to be used. Rice checks or mountain slopes. Drones are used for transportation of spare parts, tools, real-time overhaul where a serious intervention is not required. One thing is spending resources, sending a human there for delivery tools and equipment. Absolutely different thing is when a drone will deliver everything to the required spot. I would also like to emphasize the opportunity that UAVs could help to control open storages of beetroot or cereals, and with the help of formulas, equations, and thermal imagery, the volumes can be evaluated, and the decision making will be streamlined, and if any measures to reduce temperatures by moving the product in elevators or mills is required. Drone technologies is gaining its momentum both in agriculture and other industries, and this tools becomes a great helping hand together with other vehicles. To crown that all, the use of UAVs and digital data can be characterized with the words. It's typicality and objectivity, visuality, real-time line, transparency, traceability. Transparency and traceability of the processes in growing and storing products, as well as transporting the product to the place of its preliminary storage. I'm finishing my presentation, and I would be happy to give you comments, answer your questions at the end of the session. Success in your work. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Igor. I would like to use the opportunity to ask you a couple of questions. What about the seasonal nature of using drones? Does it influence the use of drones anyhow? Of course, the seasonal nature, of course, has an impact, not only because the agriculture is a season impacted industry, but there are certain requirements to the quality of the data obtained from this shooting, so that the material is functional. We would recommend taking into account our experience, the use of drone for relief models, either in early spring or late autumn, when there is no snow and minimum of vegetation development, minimum greenery around. Such approach is not possible when a farmer needs plant vegetation, plant development, which is made according to the plant development cycle. One more question. In accordance to your competencies and knowledge, agricultural companies should have their own drones and have their own experts, or is it possible to use outsourcing? Each farmer makes his own or her own decision. It depends on the size of the company and fund availability, if they can buy their own and hire experts. So the farmer can pay for that, but the pending issue here, the question to be asked, if this reasonable to invest into that, and if the equipment will be used all over the whole season. This drones is a high-tech equipment which requires professional expertise, and just giving a list of what you should be ready for if a farm is thinking about buying their own equipment, is not only buying drones themselves, one drone or drones depending on the objectives they have and the areas they possess. It's also instructioning the operators if they have smart guys at the company, and of course the pending question will be buying spare parts and spare drones, as there is a human factor and a risk of drone falling. Even professionals drop drones. What is more, buying a server for hosting software, specialized software. Everyone should weigh the pluses and minuses. If a farm has small areas or it is a large company and the use of drones is seasonal, and it's one-time event, the best idea is to get outsource help from professional companies who have been in that business for years and who have their own drone pool and experts. Thank you.
I'd like to give the microphone to Sergey Kosogor. It's our next speaker. And Sergey, we're going to talk about a very interesting element. We're going to talk about investments in agriculture digitalization. He is a project head on agribusiness digitalization at the Center for Technological Transfer at the Higher School of Economics. Today, I'd like to talk about the investment sector transition to the digital agriculture in the Russian Federation. We all understand perfectly well that now all countries all over the world apply certain efforts in order to move to the digital paradigm of the economy. And here the efforts of the Russian Federation are very important. And I guess such events like ours allow us to align, to see where the countries are, where the Russian Federation is, because we all understand perfectly that digital agriculture is very close, just around the corner. But everyone gonna get there when they'll be able to certain achievements. They will be able to come there with a particular pool of knowledge and achievement. On this slide, you can see the stages of digitalization in agriculture was started quite a long time ago in 1960. And we do know the story that it was private agriculture. There was a public property in agriculture in the Soviet Union. So all the stages that the world came through, and with the private business, it was a little bit faster. In Russia, in the Soviet Union, the program, the efforts that were undertaken by the government, they were not that very successful. And even now, in 2021, we do are a little bit behind, we have some shortcomings. So the experience of other countries in agri-digitalization is very useful for us. And we can only welcome the efforts that are being undertaken now, particularly by private business, for relaunching the food net in the Russian Federation. We remember perfectly 2014, when the idea was launched to prepare a program for developing digital agriculture, but unfortunately, the idea kind of melted by 2016. And now, upon business initiative, we've returned to this idea, particularly in development of digital economy. And I'm now a member of a working group for preparing a roadmap for the National Technological Initiative. And I'd like to tell you a few words about this. Evaluating the capabilities of the global agriculture market, we believe that by 2035, the market capacity will be $3.5 trillion. And in this context, Russia definitely should state its words so that the products produced here in the Russian Federation will be available on the international food market, and we will be able to offer to the buyers and consumers the well-sought products at the quality and traceability, quality traceability up to the international standard. That is very important. We also understand the macroeconomic trends that generally affect development of agriculture, digitalization, introduction of new technologies. And our colleagues already mentioned some of those trends. I'd like to reiterate them once again. It's the increase of the population, longevity, changing the employment structure, and increasing the income of the population. So, of course, all those trends and challenges, of course, set new tasks for us to satisfy all consumer needs. What are the challenges in Russia? Of course, that's national security, the quality of life, food security, competitive abilities on the global market, and all the steps that will help us to achieve these goals. I'm ready to give them to you. They are on the slides. We believe that the events and measures included in the roadmap, with this roadmap, it would be possible to reach the goals facing the set for the Russian Federation. We identify 5 segments on the food market, which we believe strategically should be well developed by 2035. These include alternative sources, smart supply chains, specialized food, biologized and organic agriculture. We do understand that, judging by the conditions of those segments in Russia at the moment, we understand how much work should be done, but we also understand what is already on these markets. And we, in particular, work on overcoming the barriers that hamper development of those segments. I'm not going to go into all details, but if you look at the alternative sources of raw material and food, particularly the barrier is technological dependence. And I believe that such forums like this and the attitudes expressed by our deputy minister and director of our leading agrarian university on establishing interaction, these events in particular contribute to overcoming technological dependence in all lines of development that we identified for improving those segments in order that Russian agribusiness would be stable and have a robust development in order to withstand the challenges that I outlined. Since I have limited time, Here is the scale for food net market that we identified, and we understand that there are certain technological achievements and builds up in Russia. Particularly, we have really good agrarian universities, we have good research institutes that are beyond the supervision of the Ministry of Agriculture, but we do understand that following this roadmap, that, by the way, was approved preliminary on the 26th of November, and now the Interdepartmental Commission will approve it. We do understand that the events in this roadmap will enable us to move forward by all these directions, and perhaps we would even be able to accelerate and meet the goals before the deadlines. But we understand that should be a certain system of coordinated work between all the departments involved. Here, we developed a technological radar, that's how we called it. And already there are some technologies which have very strong impact upon agriculture and food production. And it's already now that we should get ready, or we should redevelop, rehabilitate, if I can say. In this radar, we have some technologies that would enable us to moderate weather. And in the Soviet Union, such works had been undertaken, and some of them were quite serious. So sometimes we just have to remember what already was done, just take it out of the shelf and work on this. We should give our agricultural producers particular toolkits to enabling them efficiently use the available resources. What are the measures in support of FoodNet? Of course, training highly qualified specialists is number one. And we believe it should start at secondary schools so that the kids would be get trained, or in the format of agricultural tourism, they will be able, for example, to find out about the modern technologies that are already available, so that they have this idea that agriculture is not some backward, it's not some terrible things like a swamp, it's a really highly technologically developed sector which is keen to employ state-of-the-art technologies. And according to the analysis of the High School of Economics, there are already a lot of digital solutions available, particularly thanks to those technological projects that was started in 2006, and it enabled us to re-equip and get access to the top products on the market. That's one point. The other point is that now the technologies are rapidly advancing, and there are Russian companies present on the market who offer affordable solutions, integrated solutions. It is possible to buy not just the entire solution or platform that will be very well developed, very expensive, but just an element of it, which later will be integrated when a company or a farm is ready for this financially. So this also should be supported. And at least now, when we're talking about organics developing this particular sector, we have an issue with the regulatory and legal framework, which can give a good boost and it can shape development of this segment. So we do need to accelerate in that field, and we need to develop all the regulatory mechanisms and tools that would enable our producers to operate successfully on the biologically clean products. Well, now we're talking about the draft law on the products with augmented qualities. So to this purpose, we need to have a really good legal field. In our opinion, High School of Economics, as a result of particular implemented food network in particular digital agriculture. You can see on the right that would be able to get information as what is really happening in agriculture. Everything should be transparent, and they would be able to forecast and plan sector development. As for producers, again, they have their own advantages in terms of various aspects and ability to bring their products to marketplace, have various protection means, improve their reporting, got soft loans just through one click. So this platform in its entirety should be, in our opinion, the result of agriculture digitalization, which does not exclude, of course, presence of private solutions on the market that perhaps can be at some point integrated and or would enable some pinpointed work following the guidelines. And I believe it will be possible in particular through entering in the solution catalogs that the Ministry of Agriculture is now attempting to do on this platform, when consumers, just through one click, get into one platform, the consumer will be able to get the full range of information, all the resources, dig this information in order to base their best solution on it. What's the reason? Why do they need it for? Well, there are lots of aspects. For example, Rostilmash is putting efforts in digitalization straight away on the conveyor. All the machinery should be equipped with all these digital devices, and it's important for the producers to understand how a particular element works, and they will be able to calculate all different parameters like fuel spending, etc. This is in-field work. When we need to count the diseases or lack of moisture in the soil, etc., 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 digital solutions should be very instrumental in this, in order that our producers feel confident and can really trust, be sure that their solution is correct. So a lot of effort should be done here, that we will build up the platform and build up integration and interrelations, tie up all those solutions that are available on the market in order to optimize process control. And now we have like a loop, digital solutions that are really interrelated, they are interconnected, and they can supply the necessary information solution for the producers, enabling efficient decision making. Reason being, there are lots of benefits, being cost effective in terms of resource spending, increase the speed of reacting to the market demand, short idea to market time, etc., etc. I can't really not mention here the situation with the COVID. We do understand the situation, and all solution that we can offer obviously would be very helpful in overcoming the challenges that are related to the pandemic. We're all waiting when the pandemic is over, but looking at the COVID trends in the world in 2020, here's the situation on the slide with the breakdown by countries. You can see what the situation in BRICS in November in Russia, and we do understand that digitalization really helped to overcome some negative consequences related to COVID. But obviously COVID affected it, that's no question. You do understand that COVID just destroyed some chains, particularly not only agricultural supply chain, but other product supply chain in Russia, in the regions, because some regions had to close during quarantine. So here, employing digital capabilities would enable us to minimize the impact of such pandemics on sectoral development, product sale, and satisfying consumer needs. We also should stress that in the context of the pandemic influence, we should especially look at the marketplace responsible for product delivery. Look at the marketplace that in 2021 were involved in food supply chain product delivery. And the main trend, according to the World Bank, is to control traceability of the product. First of all, grain, beef, and pork. And everyone understands that one of the issues because of the pandemic is the shortage of products and the need to how to feed the population under the lockdown conditions. So that is why the trends set by the government to regulate grain movement and the duty for grain. This is the logic which we can see all over the world, building up this food supply chains for grain, meat, etc. I'm not that optimistic. I just wanted to understand what is the logic of those restrictions that were now discussed, and perhaps with figures would be help to give us an insight and answer a lot of questions. Also, because the pandemic heavily affected this change, we have to look at the production, particularly organic, due to vertical structures. Because under those conditions, it is still possible to produce kind of high quality products because it's getting closer to the consumers. There is no need to move it across regions and countries. And this trend definitely should be supported and developed, particularly when we talk about the future of the Russian situations. For example, this is ecological, this is safe, this is very cost effective, really speedy payback, particularly during the pandemic when we very quickly can deliver the products to consumers. This is vertical farm. And here you can see the figures for 2020. That's the market of the Russian Federation. In terms of organic, we can say that we have pretty good prospects in this area. We just need to improve the regulations in this field, because we do need to have to be a player really on this market to be able to produce such products and supply it. But in order to make sure that all those digital solutions that are particularly developed under the frame of the roadmap and development of rural area, lots and lots of other program documents, to make it really workable, to make sure that our producers go for digital solutions, we really need to look at the issues with the infrastructure. Here's the telecommunication map of the Russian Federation. Look at the average figure, 1.6. Of course, Moscow and St. Petersburg are way ahead. But if you look what is below 6.1, look, these are the regions that have very low figures, that are traditionally agricultural. So to make sure that the consumers shift their preferences towards different digital technologies, they should be convinced, they should be well equipped with the understanding that all this is going to work. And the underlying, the embedded functionality and mechanism would be very robust and would help them. So we have to look at the infrastructure in order to speed up digitalization and change the situation from what it is now. And it's exactly what Pavel Valerievich said. Yes, there is an order now concerning digitalization, and there should be a particular regional project in the regions, and some grants would be offered by the governmental agencies. So all together, that can help us to accelerate digitalization of agribusiness. On this slide, it's an illustration that we are truly a little bit behind. We do introduce some cloud services, which is more difficult, however, for large enterprises that are also involved in processing. But again, looking into the state-of-the-art cutting-edge technologies, yes, we're still behind lots of other sectors, because and we need to make sure that digitalization is there, digitalization work. And I'd like to mention a particular business that is ready to actually participate in the roadmap. The roadmap is being developed with support of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, which heavily influenced digitalization. And recently, Digital Agro Company was founded. It's one of successful platforms that offers the functionalities for producers, for use of land, particularly measures of support in terms of reporting, guidelines for use of land areas, particularly through collaboration with other companies and service centers. Here is the presence of the company with service centers that would be able to offer particular toolkits to the producers. This definitely should be welcome, because such connections between the state and private business should be able to accelerate digitalization of the agribusiness in Russia. At the same time, the government, which is trying to shape those institutions, will also pay attention. Perhaps we can discuss with Alexander that you gave different figures. Alexander said 4.7 was spent in innovation. So this figure is a little bit under discussions. In 2020, the figure went down a little bit. And anyway, Russia is really losing here. And a lot of countries pay attention to innovations in agriculture and invest heavily, particularly through different funds. Look here, our foreign partners are way ahead of us in this context. Even India, Brazil, Australia, they are all ahead of us. In Russian Federation, we can have really great achievements like we have Sputnik V vaccine, but if we want to claim for our position to be able to supply high-quality organic products attractive for consumers, we should really put robust efforts in this field and offer solutions which will be clear and understandable abroad, that will be traceable, and most important, there would be clear answers from what it is produced so that consumers are confident and are ready to consume this product. We also should pay attention to development of robotics, and our company should think heavily about it because our foreign partners are already actively involved in this, using, for example, various mechanical means, lasers, etc., etc. In Russia, we can give some examples from Michurinski Agro universities that are now testing robots in their greenhouses, but it's just a small drop in the ocean. It's the very beginning of this trajectory. And again, in quite a number of parameters, we're very well behind our foreign partners. So we have to think carefully what we'll be able to offer when we say that there is an agribusiness digitalization all over the world. They've eyed this in this agriculture 4.0, and our investors in our agriculture sector, we are well behind. So we find ourselves in a situation that it's a foreign equipment and foreign machinery as working in our fields and not our domestic products. And we want organic products in foreign packaging rather than being able to offer something. So these are the range of issues that I wanted to mention today. Dear colleagues, if there are any questions, I'm ready to answer. Thank you so much, Sergey. Really, it's a very interesting talk. I wish you all the better.
The next presenter will tell about monitoring crops and the digital tools. I present director of the company, Mr. Fimts, Open Fields.
Thank you to the moderator. Thanks to everybody. And I'd like to greet all the speakers, all my colleagues whose works are associated with this platform on to me. It's a great honor to take part in this forum. Thank you to Factor Bio. Thank you to Pavel Skurihin, who represents the Grain Union, which is a very important strategic area, not only in Russia, but all over the world. And as Alexander said, I am the executive director of Open Fields, which is a consulting company involved in innovative projects in agribusiness. And we render various services. And I'd like to take this advantage in order also to greet the chair of FederBio. My idea is to present to you today two tools or two devices, Cryptoka, which already are used in Italy. We titled it CropToker. At the moment, it is at this stage of development and at the first stage of its application. Professor Valentini put forward an idea. He was talking about Agriculture 4.0, and also our company was mentioned. Open field. We offer consultancy. We also work in technologies. And right now I'm gonna present you a couple of products.
And now we present two products, CrypTalker and ColdTalker, which were born thanks to Ricardo Valentini's intuition, who has been cooperating with the Academy of Agriculture so that you can listen to animals and plants. TreeTalker is the technology which is used by farms, and we've been developing it together in the partnership so for Zero, and we have a partnership with Tusha University, where Professor Valentini works, and he gives us full support. The technology envisages a number of sensors to be installed aimed at their targets, and they are easy to handle, and they send the data several times a day through an interactive interface. You can track them, as well as this interface is easy to use. TreeTalker is developed for plants with great diameter, such as trees, with the trunk diameter over 4 centimeters, and in real time, constantly humidity growth attract of the trunk and the branches. As apart from giving the information in real time about the plant status, it enables us to measure the growth and the plant itself over the year. And thanks to the algorithm developed in the institute, help us to assess how much carbon dioxide a plant consumes. As in Europe, there's been massive talks about carbon assessment, and it's a useful tool to assess CO2 consumption, absorption by plants, as well as it enables us to do tracking and transparency. CropTalker is used for crops, plants, and cereals used to track pathologies and biomass development. And the list here provides all the parameters which can be tracked, and they can be used under the technology for fruit trees and for forests, as well as other plants. Practically, we can see here this device installed on a tree, and it contains sensors which define parameters given in the previous slide. And so probes goes into the trunk, and they see the streams, and there are telecameras to monitor branches, and And here I give the reference that thanks to this system, we can evaluate quite precisely the accumulation of CO2 over the year course. And the tree talker is equipped with power supply unit, and it ensures weekly, daily, or hourly delivery of the data. And here we can see the diagram of its functionality for standard tree talker. On the left, so the brown in the scheme marks the sense of radial growth, as well as probes which follow, which evaluate the flows. Gravitational and thermohygrometer are inside, which are used for tracking certain data. On the right, you can see how each device on each trees transfer the data to the cloud, where they are processed, and certain standard data is envisaged, which reach end user, as well as personalized data for certain time frames. I won't tackle on that diagram in detail. So here you can see specialized tree talkers for forests, for fruit trees, grapevines, for olive trees, and city vegetation. Great attention is paid to water consumption, as in the city urban trees have special properties, and not in all. As for grapevines, you don't see a trunk diameter, but everywhere you could see the consumption of CO2 parameters. When we speak about crop talker, here you can see, as I have already mentioned, Professor Valentini mentioned in his presentation an example of using at the field with cereals, with wheat, here in Russia. The device was used here, defining the right parameters, and you can understand the status, diseases, quantity of nitrogen that is contained in a plant at the moment. A small telecamera is arranged here. The battery can work for a long time. Its service life is up to 3 years. How useful can that be? It's used for managing plant growth, and it provides us with useful information about the time most suitable for watering, as well as for using fertilizers, as well as evaluating probable yield of cereal crops, and you can make a forecast, which is important, and useful information with great value, both for farmers and government. This is the last but one slide. And the technology serves for developing sustainable production as well as for organic land use, as it helps to forecast with enough precision the required intervention into plant life, which helps reduce useless application of fertilizers or pesticides. That is also applied in veterinary field and forestry. Crop talk and tree talker foster reduction and control of CO2 release, as well as they help tracking certain parameters and improving transparency. First of all, as more companies look for such CO2 release credits. Thank you very much. Our team is always at your disposal to answer all the questions. Probably if you get them later, you can email to us. Thank you very much for an interesting, and I give the floor to Mr. Kematsi, speaking about FP.
Hello, thank you very much for the invitation. And I am the head of the platform. The organization that I represent is the most well-known in Italy, Federpio Cervezi, in terms of tracing organic products, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So what do we do? What is our platform about? It enables to obtain all information concerning tracing production of organic product from field to the consumer table. That is a full cycle that we cover for production of organic products, which enables us to show all this operation at full scale, in a very transparent manner, know, manage, control, understand the advantages of the system, monitor yield, monitor harvesting, improve the quality of the products, share the best practices in organic products, and observe all necessary standards and requirements to production of organic products without being limited just to the requirements set by particular agents who basically can omit some of these stages in production of organic products when we look at the entire line from table to the table. So who find this platform useful? Who come to us? Those who are involved in operation within the ecosystem, the agrarians, agricultural producers, to the farms, agricultural enterprises, and also companies involved in processing of food products. Those who issue certification, they can also directly approach agricultural companies with this platform, and also the regulators who are responsible for control of the work of those companies. In our platform, we offer 3 large modules. The first one is control over production directly in the field. The first part, or the second module, is the first module enabled to directly control the situation in the field. And there is a possibility to add operative data to the original data, which again, they can be edited and can be modified directly in the field through special devices, which enable us to adjust land profiles and perhaps adjust the profiles or change them. Control biological organic products, it is very important aspect when we make decisions regarding crop turnovers, and particular graphs are very important here. And again, according to a particular production site, we can determine what would be the best solution for them. It is possible also to get directly to the fields and just verify that the platform readings really match the actual situation in the field, and all the data can be organized in forms of schemes and tables. It is possible to control, it is possible to verify that they also meet the necessary standards and requirements. We do recommend these products to agricultural consortia, to individual enterprises, or association of farmers. Satellite data allows us to get all information, for example, regarding plant breeding, plant growing. So this platform, for example, enables to control vegetation, look at the plant growth here, and they can control, based on these parameters, they can control the situation on a particular field and say whether the guidelines really are observed, whether it's matched the actual situation. You can look at the water supply and irrigation. You can look at whether the soil is really saturated with moisture. We can compare them with particular threshold data and undertake particular prompt measures accordingly, or give certain signals to agricultural producers in order to undertake the necessary measures on a case-by-case basis. Here is the system of alerting in accord with the weather data, the plant or vegetation indices, data pathology. This is the second module of the program. This is the chain manager. And here we build up a field to table chain. It is possible to check what stages particular product passes. It is a very important element of the product. There is a possibility to visualize and see the sequence, the complexity of fulfilling particular stages by individual farms. For example, a particular farm buys grains, and you can see the balance. For supply of particular volume of grain, you can see how it happens, again, on a case-by-case basis. Or if a particular product or raw materials are bought through intermediaries, again, it is possible to verify whether there is consistency in terms of volume between the product that you bought, the volume of raw materials, the products, what was produced and what was supplied. There is also a possibility to have a checklist or check table to both the volume and whether these volumes comply to the certified indications. It is also possible to get in touch with the suppliers according to the accompanying documents. which are close to the products throughout the entire chain. And the platform enables us to really graphically follow and trace the supply chain to the end user on this line. And you compare with the originally set volume for particular products. For example, this is how the alert system works. Here, national database is checked with all certificates for organic products and also the conditions of the certified product that can be supplied. And if a farm or an enterprise loses its status of by organic producer, say when the particular certificate expires or the company's operations require additional local control and status confirmation, then this database allows us to get information in the real-time mode. So the partners can be aware about the current status of the suppliers. All these models are on the internet portal with this cloud service. And it's an additional advantage. So it's an additional option that we offer as a technical service in order to make certification more simple. So we support our platform users. And it's a pretty, I would say, rich spectrum of services that can be offered, and that enables the companies to faster move along the chain to obtain the certificate of organic producer. Thanks to the support and services offered by the company to producers, such as data exchange with certification agencies. Here we can compare them with the national data. There are some other databases, not only at the national but also at the European level. And it's always combined in a common integrated panel. For example, here I can see the different transactions. We can see the max balance, and through this portal, it is possible for us to either get to the control field for a particular company, and we can simply trace product movement through all the stages. What else can we see with the help of the view? First of all, we can look at the history, and this archive is be accessible. There is a possibility to integrate the data through an information chain, the chain of information blocks or windows. And then we provide the service of supporting the companies in their efforts to gain the organic producer status. We also help them in their day-to-day needs and help them to resolve the issues they can emerge in control, procurement, and sales of their products. Forecasting, it's also a very important element. So analysis and forecasting. And then the possibility to offer technical and professional services offered by our company. This is a very important and efficient tool of companies that intend to produce organic products. It's like a trump card in the hands of those companies that can establish remote connection with producers, and also the regulators have a very good system for monitoring and control of the state of affairs in different regions and in situation with particular producers. Thank you so much for your attention. And now, let me present a short.
Let me present my small report on digitalization of plant farming, as the quantity of information circulating in agriculture, it's sanitary and meteorological data. And in order to get a high yield, any farmer should take into account all these data. And the decisions are made based on unnecessary data. Often we come to the situation that an agronomist visits a field twice, when planting and harvesting, and he is not aware what is happening in the field between these visits. The biggest issue is that professional agronomists disappear, who earlier could make expert decisions, and taking a great expertise working on the fields without digitalization is impossible now. That is why digitizing plant farming should help us to resolve the key issue, that is lack of expertise in people who make decisions. So such factors as choosing technology, cultivation, herbicide choice can be considered as non-significant by an expert, which would greatly influence their outcome. So digital twins of fields would make crop cultivation more predictable. Sensors, AI, digital technologies for processing the data would be of great help, and that would help to make decisions. And the process of choosing a proper decision more profitable, economical in any technology. You would be able to find the best solution, go to the field with the problem, and as usual, the digital farming implies that certain operations are carried out with the help of PC or AI and connected agricultural machines with minimum human participation would enable collection of data and their processing. And the best and the most optimum solution is using technologies, broadband internet would help us to bring precision agriculture to a new level. When the information about agriculture is not on paper, but is in a digital form, such so-called digital twins of twins of fields. And all the data will be automated. So the perfection we are striving for is Agriculture 5.0, IoT. So a computerized network of things with incorporated intellect, which can communicate with other things within internet. And every operation could be carried out in IoT. The system would be able to make a correct decision without human participation. Subjective factor is eliminated. So that is the ways of cultivation, crop choice, as well as the system will be able to operate machines without operators. IoT will enable us to automate all the technological operation, that is soil cultivation, fertilization, harvesting, etc. The machines, vehicles will be will be operated on the base of maps resulting from data processing. The commands will be carried out by machines in the streamlined way, where in agriculture, especially plant farming, the digital agriculture will be of most use. That is precision fertilization, precision irrigations, precision spraying, precision planting, self-propelled equipment, as well as greenhouse vegetable growing. Some systems are well organized when the agent is placed where it's required and in the quantity it's needed. It would reduce the quantity of pesticides and fertilizers. That would make the agriculture more ecological. AI can do that. The first is offline, which implies previous preparation in a PC based on satellite or drone data on the maps of differentiated pesticide and fertilizers used on every certain spot, and as well as the consumption. Online implies preliminary creation without any precise quantity of use, and the quantity of agent used on the field will be adjusted on a sprayer. On-board computer will define that while the machine is moving along the field, depending on the input parameter. IR scanners will be equipping the machines. They are scanners. They are scanning the field. They can identify weeds among the proper crop. So seeing the reaction of the scanner and herbicide is targeted to the weed. And these objectives are typical for human intellect, taking decisions in a couple of seconds. So pesticide and fertilization precise application will reduce the quantity of such agents used. It would be a great use of herbicide when the weeds take up to 40% of the field and the rest is black soil, and the savings will be up to 50%. The agriculture will be more ecological. That is what we are striving for. Most of the agricultural machines now being developed for using in agriculture, focusing on the high professionalism of the operator. The function of operating machines is given to a human, and a machine operated by different operators will have a varied productivity. For example, one operator who is an expert, he could produce 40% more. The same refers to the sprayers, and as the practice shows, the pool of machines is working below their productivity threshold. Using drones and aircrafts would be of use. Drones have been are mostly used for mapping land and for forestry use, and a drone would be able to participate in applying micro fertilizers and pesticides for any spot on the field with a precision application. So pesticide applied by drones will result in the plant protection agents eliminated, and in-tank mixtures will be made online right in the field according to the weeds identified in the field. The biggest problem we face nowadays is that the digital system are not united in one unified system. Agronomists and farmers require ready-made solutions. The system who do not only collect but also give precise recommendations on how to increase yield and production efficiency, weather, soil quality of technological operations have been digitized, and they have certain schemes for digitizing, but replacing eyes, hands, and expertise of an agronomist when cultivating a complicated crop is impossible by any system. We are living in the time when the digitization is moving in leaps and bounds, and we will come to the fully automated agriculture, automated technologies independently carrying out operations, sensors galore on plants, soils in the air, which in real time will transfer the data online, AI who will automate, analyze the process, and render decisions that would help us to get a highest yield. That is all of my report, and if you want to ask me questions, I would be happy to answer them. Is it possible to program yield through digitization system? The biggest issue in Siberia we have for programming yield is that the constraint is humidity, not only in the soil before the season and not which came with the snow, but the humidity we will have during vegetation period. And in the beginning of the year, calculating the yield, taking into account a lot of parameters, we cannot precisely predict how much precipitation we will have from May to July or from June to August. That is the constraint, and the forecast that we have will give us estimated yield for 1 month or a month and a half. And in the beginning of vegetation, we are unable to predict how much we will get at the end of the vegetation. Maybe someday the technologies will move forward and we would be able to give more precise forecasts.
I just like to stress that our speaker was a specialist, plant protection specialist, Dr. Pam, and I'd like to thank Nikolai Milchenko for a wonderful presentation. And I would like to give the microphone while Alessandra is reconnected to the next presenters. And we have 3 co-presenters here: Ivan Vasinyov, Alexei Yaroslavtsev, and as our heavy weapon, Professor Riccardo Valentini, who opened our forum today. Nikolai, on the one hand, showed us this optimism. He basically was boosting the optimism, but honestly, we wouldn't get to full automation of agriculture because there'll be no need in us. But we're getting close to this as kind of mathematical track, especially in communication and interaction with our Italian colleagues. And we're going to give a report on the IoT system of agroecological monitoring, and it shows the principal capabilities of the system. We're going to base it on a high-quality durum wheat, well known to a lot of our speakers. It was discussed even in 2013 at a meeting in Omsk, where both parties, Kurishin was present, and then with their, let me say, permission and the permission of Ricardo, we have developed really good working relationship with Baril, and very soon we're going to get to registration with them for high quality durum wheat production. And just to be very brief, because it's, a lot of issues have been already raised. So what is our job? We have to reach the sustainable yield without any environmental pollution, which is not that easy. because the conditions really it's not homogeneous in across the fields, and it's difficult to avoid it. So I agree with most of our speakers. It is really important to differentiate it, and we're getting close to this step by step, so that we can sustainably increase production due to enhancing the average yield without losing in product quality. And these fantastic Italian companies otherwise wouldn't buy wheat where the protein level is less than 15, and they will also ask us some other questions, like what is the color, for example, etc., etc., etc. And the question is that out of 50 various cultivars, which are area specific, for example, in the Volga regions and the Urals, they do not make particular standards. So it's very difficult for us to apply the multi-year results or studies results to make sure we can get sustainably high yields. So that is why the agroecological models of decision making and technological transfer would be really a helpful hand for us here. To this purpose, we need to get agroecological area-specific delineation and analyze the land use by cultivars and varieties, because obviously they have different, let's say, demands, and that's why different means should be used. And not only because of the precision farming, but also because of the optimization of their placement. And in the past 20 years, really the boundaries for the areas have been shifted towards the north, and weeds and various pathogens follow them. So we'll have to update the method for our cultivars. It is essential at this stage. Here you can see an example how it can be organized. Ricardo Valentini already explained it. We're not gonna go into more details. You would just need to minimize the climate risk, not only in a particular area, but also even in a particular piece of land in view of the steepness and of the positions and the surface conditions. That is the laboratory of agroecological monitoring for modeling and forecasting ecosystem. It was organized in 2009 in our institution with support of agricultures. Here you can see the agroclimatic devices on the fields. It was proven that can be used not only in forest at the height of 35 meters, but also in the fields, especially in the pilot conditions. And here we collected some information to detail agro-environmental models. Here it was demonstrated using the examples of barley. We have a pilot field in Timilyatevskaya Academy. We had a field on the border between Kursk and Belgorod regions, and only due to use of this system, we boosted the productivity by 40%, 90% in Timilyatevskaya field, a little bit higher than 40% in the farm. So what does it mean? We have to concentrate our efforts on where we have a weak link. This depends on cumulative general primary productivity from soil temperature. But of course, getting temperature, this statistic is much easier. So if we have that the boundary shifted 450 kilometers throughout serious climatic changes, then we have to take it into consideration. Nikolai Anatolievich was talking a lot about the moisture supply, and it's typical for different areas, for example, Urals. Even in Timilyatevskaya Academy, look at different fields, and only 1 year out of 3, when we see that the amount of precipitation is close to the multi-year trend. So how can we do the planning? Because cost effectiveness also would depend as to how justified is the use of particular technologies. And even if we had a year where the figures are close to the multi-year, but the seasonal figures varies considerably, here we need to have an operative monitoring system that would help us to regulate these day-to-day efforts. And more farmers abandon this day-to-day treatment. And here we have to calculate technological cost in a particular field, which is very important for producers, but it becomes highly accurate only if we have good primary data. Here, if we calculate the figures using the most available monthly average data, what is the range? If we have decade by decade data, then this corridor is narrowed twofold. If you use the specifics of land, and of course, we get closer to 10% typical for Europe. For this purpose, we need to understand what were the earlier trends, what are the specifics of the soil structure, etc., and as a limiting factor, how we can forecast the yield and how we can compensate the use of fertilizers. Otherwise, it would be cost effective. It's possible to use them, but the question is how much it costs. So we have to elaborate the standard error coefficients and understand in which conditions they work. We should have agroecological passports, which also would be very useful, and then would be able to recommend and get the effect, at least 20-25% increase in cost effectiveness in fertilizers. So why from us goes abroad? Because this cost effectiveness level is higher there, not because our producers are stupid, because the fields are just different. It's really different, much more to the north comparison, say, with farms in Italy, and the climate is much more continental, so it's more difficult for us, but it's still possible to handle it. And we already talked a lot about Industry 4.0, and Ricardo overlapped it with agriculture, which should be more advanced, 5.0. But it should be reiteration, say 4.1, 4.2, 4.27, with getting into more details by regions, by crops, not just have a unified decision support system, but a framework system which we can digitalize. Then I think it will be more productive. Crop talker, we discussed it today. Just wanted to say that there is no limit to affection. We started working with them 2 years ago, and we do believe that for the next 5 to 7 years, we have to go stage by stage working on them so that they will be able to demonstrate not only temperatures and humidity and not the hourly growth of sprouts and the spectrum characteristics, so that we would be able to be confident in our conclusions about the shortage of elements, about diseases. This is still the future. But with such experiments, we can work with the so-called training samples using drones or even maybe satellite remote sensing data that can be used more efficiently. Regarding data transfer, it was already discussed. But according with the temperature and humidity data, we also need to have some other data like for nitrogens, for the salinity, for soil cracking. Of course, this is very objective. It is necessary. And here I believe that the colleagues from these specific agrophysical institutions, research institutes, can be a help for us. And our job is try to transform the big data monitoring and reach the level when every agronomist in every farm would be able to understand it. So we have to do it with maximum speed. The system should be automated, but still it should be interactive. And it always should be an option, should be a choice, which way the model should go, how to make it much more efficient. So I guess I'd like to end with this picture that we already see for the second time. This is from the fields in our academy, and it's wonderful that crop talkers will first test it in the fields of the Timirazov Academy, and I do hope that they can be refined actively for the next 5 years under this framework of the technologies of the future, which our director of our university already described. Thank you so much for your attention. Ivan Ivановich, thank you so much for that brilliant presentation. I mean, it's obvious there's such a huge amount of information, the accumulated experience is practically important to relate it within such limited time. But that is the point for development, for our further collaboration.
Ivan Ivanovich, can you tell us, you mentioned the region, the Kursk region as the practical application. Any pilot applications of the technologies presented? Have they been done in any regions? And if yes, what are the areas? That is Saratov, Samara, Orenburg regions where we collaborate with our regional universities. We have included that into the approbation project, and together with them, the precise forecast is about 1,000%, and to cover the full territory, we would require 2 to 3 years. Luckily, Crown is supporting us. We, Amazon and Syngenta, were helping us last year, and we expect that it won't be pilot plots, but fields of 60 to 100 hectares. You've been speaking about durum wheat, and probably the listeners would be interested to say that we were speaking about the Altai Krai, the Orenburg region. What other regions could be sources for Barilla company, the distinguished company who can supply durum? When we did the screening together with the Orenburg region, we also selected Samara and Saratov regions, taking into account the distance. And in Chelyabinsk, Magfa is big, and the market is covered by this company. So good quality gluten and protein, and the color is the most hard to be so that Russia could cover the niche in if we speak about 1 million or 2 million tons per year. It's paramount, as in this forum we are speaking about improving efficiency with the Russian and enter more marginal markets with Russian farmers so that they can get bigger profits. Let me conclude the first day of ProAgroTalk 1.0 new technological paradigm experience of Russia and Italy. Thank all the speakers in the plenary session and the first session for such gripping reports. I strongly believe that it was of great use to our audience, and we are starting our way, and highly qualified speakers, mainly from Tymyryazov Academy, who supported us, and we thank the rector and the academy for their support. And we suggest that the first session should be concluded, and we expect that you come to the continuation of our forum in a week, and you see the topics of next sessions: sustainable agricultural development, and so on, technological equipment, and session 3, certification and accreditation in organic commodity production, as today's session was about digitizing, taking into account some organic aspects. On the 26th of February, we'll be more seriously into the conversation about the organic produce. Thank you again for participating in our forum. And before I finish our today's first day, everybody who everybody in Russia congratulate on the public holiday on the 23rd of February. We will have long weekend, and you will have enough time to think it over and prepare for our next session on the 26th of February. Thank you for your attention, and see you on the 26th of February.